What's up, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Xavier Jones of Game On Media, and joining me today is Terrence Banks, football coach at Thomas Jefferson. What's going on, bro?
Man, hanging in there, man. Just taking things one day at a time, man. Right now, getting ready for the season. Got a lot of priorities that we're trying to hash out and getting these kids together, from transitioning right now, 2-a-days. As from 2-a-days, then, the kids will be going back to school pretty soon. So we're going to have to be working on some things in terms of moving things around with time management, schedules. But all good things, all good initiatives to where we want to be at right now, going into a real long dueling season because we plan on playing in that final game in December. So that's the goal, that's the objective. Just moving things along, man,
So Banks, you don't mind if I call you Banks? We go back.
Man, listen, you good, brother.
We go back.
You good, brother.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody else addressed me as, so that's perfectly fine, my guy.
I got you.
Yeah, man.
So look, can you walk us through your coaching philosophy?
In terms of coaching philosophy, man, I'm big on, and when I say coaching philosophy, I say the way I approach my kids, the way I approach things in terms of just life in general. So everything that I do, just in my personal life, it translates on the football field with coaching. So for me as a coaching philosophy, it's big on discipline. It's big on prioritization. It's big on structure. And it's just big on understanding what the important things is that you want to be able to utilize and transition, into real life, to real purpose. So a lot of times with me, my philosophy is just making sure that everything stay on cue, man. And so when I'm coaching my kids and I'm preparing my kids and I'm working my kids, these are things that I just try to make sure I instill inside them on a consistent basis. And so, it's always a reflection of me, my personality and things I take on. I want to be able to see, that show inside our kids, and so for me, that's the main thing, for a philosophy standpoint.
Yeah. So the part you said about structure, discipline, I remember us playing basketball, football, running track. People, if you don't know this man right here was my captain, football and track. So everything he's telling you is what he lived by as a player. So when you say, like you said, discipline and structure, when I looked at you as a player, you can see it oozing out of you.
Yeah.
Like God honest truth. Like you may be the most structured and disciplined player I've ever played with, even at a high school level.
That's crazy. We talking 20 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's crazy. I think the main thing for me was is kind of when I got introduced to organized sports.
Yeah.
I was a kid that I didn't play anything recreational, so I never got to. And a lot of people don't know that I never got a chance to experience recreational sports like that. I think I played like a few games or half a season of recreational basketball, but at the time it was just like something that my mom had just put me in, but it wasn't consistent. I wanted to play recreational football at Gene Dixon Park in Buckingham, but at that time she didn't believe in it. She thought it was too violent. So it wasn't until I got to be a rising 8th grader, there was some things that kind of transpired during that summertime. I lost one of my best friends at the time, Haywood Banks. He died, and I was in a very, very deep state of depression. And one of my other childhood friends, a lot of people know him as Google, but James Ash, basically, he was the one that kind of influenced me to start playing football. And so it started there, man, organization-wise. And then, being the fact that, as you remember, we had a militant head coach. Yeah. And so his mindset, his structure, his philosophy was all of those things. And so I just inherently absorbed those things in terms of my work ethic as I started to go through the maturational phases in high school. And so by the time, like you say, man, junior, senior year, being the fact that I had played with so many upperclassmen, I felt I was very groomed, very developed and mature for my age. When I got to my junior and senior year, I already knew the expectation. I knew the standard. whether we were winning or losing, the standard was the standard in terms of the expectation as a football player, man, and as a track and field guy. You know, track and field was something that I did to stay in shape for football. Yeah. So that was always the objective, but I still kept the same work ethic, man. So, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, you learn these things early off. You know, you take these things with you throughout the entire, in the entirety of your life. Mm-hmm. And now as an adult, it's the same thing, man. You know, I try to live my life by, once again, I reiterate, it's not just football, but every day in personal life. And so if you have those things and have those same principles and foundational things that you learned when you was a kid, you're gonna keep it for the rest of your life. And you're gonna see it, you know, for the rest of your life. So yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. How do you balance player development, team success, and building character in a high school setting?
That's a great question, man. In terms of balancing player development and team success, the main thing is, as a football coach, I can speak on, as a high school football coach, is really just understanding what you're doing this for. What's your sole purpose, right? A lot of times we get caught up in the rigmarole of winning state championships and the glitz and the glamour that comes with that. But your real main focus is teaching these kids life skills. That's what your real main focus is. Preparing them for the things that they're going to endure and see in life, especially as men. You know what I mean? And a lot of my kids, especially the majority of the demographics, are 90 to 95% black. And so when I'm going out here and I'm around these kids every single day, you know, I'm trying to make sure that first and foremost, I tell them all the time, man, you know what I mean? You know, and I'm just going to put this in straightforwardness, you know, excuse my language, but I would tell them all the time, I can give a fuck about football, man. I care about who you are as a person. In 10 years from now, are you going to be a pillar and a staple in the community? Am I going to look back and see, yo, this person right here is an outstanding husband. He's an outstanding person in the community in terms of community outreach. Yeah. He's somebody that is really take care of his family, so his kids is number one his priority. These are the things that the criteria I'm going to be judged and looking for. That's my championship, essentially. From what transitions out of that, we winning, the success, the recruitment, my kids going, those things are bonuses for me. So I try to make sure I balance that and keep the success, because guess what? If I'm teaching those things, and those things are a reflection of what I'm doing in terms of the balance, it's going to transition on the football field to the winning culture, to the winning success. One of the main stigmas that we try to kill as a program is that a lot of times when you got a predominantly black coaching staff and a predominantly black team, one of the main stereotypes that we get labeled with is undisciplined. They're going to get out-coached. They got great athletes. They lack physicality. They lack structure. And so teams come in game planning thinking that that's what they're going to be able to win over, because we dominate in athleticism. Mm-hmm. So we as a coaching staff, as men, we try to prepare our kids with these nuances of these things, like you say, to balance out this success. And so when we judging by this criteria on the football field, can you get to the line of scrimmage? Can you make a pre-snap assessment? Can you discipline yourself on the sideline? Can you not have an emotional outburst when you're facing adversity? That's the stuff that we worked on throughout the week, right? Mm-hmm. In the school buildings, outside of the school buildings, outside of the football field. Then it translates to the success on the football field. So that's the balance, man. It's really working and mentoring these young men on a consistent basis, bro. Okay, so that pretty much wraps into like the team success and the player development. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. And so you can't have team success if you don't have player development. Exactly. Just imagine how can those two things coincide? Because what you're gonna have is you can have a player that is really, really physically gifted on the football field, but if he lacks discipline, if he lacks structure, he's going out there doing his own thing. It compromises the integrity of the whole program, the whole team. Yeah. And so he may shine in spots, but in reality, the success of the program, it's gonna be ass. Yeah. So we just try to make sure that we keep a balance between both of those things. A lot of times I don't like to use this catchphrase, but I always say don't let the inmates run the asylum. I don't really necessarily like that. What I say is just making sure that nobody's getting too big-headed. Okay. We try to rephrase it as one man is not bigger than the program. And so as long as we are constantly verbally reiterating that to our kids and understanding that, it's always centered around team goals and team objectives. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the main things I probably.
Okay. All right. So tell us about a time you or the coaching staff turned around a struggling player or the team. Like, what strategies did you use to motivate them, and what was the outcome?
It's crazy you asked that question because I've seen that on multiple occasions from kids, you know, that were struggling with something and turned around. The main thing is really continue to keep on uplifting the kid.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times when you're dealing with a kid that's going through something, you don't know what they got going on in their personal life and their home life.
Exactly.
So you can't be quick to jump and draw a conclusion of what you think with the kid going through. So being more intentional and asking the kid what's going on in his personal life. Because when you're coaching and you're coaching at a high level, you are going to have to develop real strong people skills. And even with your people skills, you got to learn how to communicate with certain kids a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
can't talk to everybody the same way.
Yeah.
So really just finding out the details of what's going on at home, personal life, school, making sure that those things are good and squared away, because as you know in this day and age, mental health is very prevalent, bro.
Yes.
And so a lot of our kids, they struggle with mental health issues. So we want to make sure that when we are being intentional with understanding those things like that, finding the nucleus of what caused those issues, what's causing that kid to be doing these things, tackle that, solve that, then allow from those things to be resolved. Then you see the change on the football field.
Oh, yeah.
Then you see the things kind of turn around. You know what I mean?
I like to think of it like the kid has to feel that you care.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
Glad you said something about that too.
I think that's like the most important part.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's easy to throw kids on the field, go tackle,
Yep.
head hunt the ball,
Yep.
see ball, go get ball.
Go get ball. Yep.
But if that's all that you're pouring into that kid,
Yep.
you're not really setting them up for success in the future.
I'm glad you said something about that, because that kind of segues into my next response is kids in general, right? But I'm gonna just use my kids for context purposes right now.
Okay.
And specificity, right? Kids in general, they see straight through fake shit. So if you putting on a facade, you trying to be a coach that's coming out there with a tough guy image, or you're trying to be a coach that try to overcompensate through gifts and different things, or your guy, you know, you're using a tone or your body language, your mannerisms, they see through stuff that is fictitious, that's not realistic, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing is you being authentic and you being genuine. When kids see that you're genuine, who you are and what you represent, how you carry yourself, they're going to run through a brick wall for you. But when they see things that are not realistic, that it's a facade that you're going to put up, you can't reach them that way. And so a lot of times, I know with me and our coaching staff, man, we do a very, very good job of presenting our authentic, real selves on how we carry ourselves at the football field, on and off the field. And those elements kind of help also, you know, create and garner the success as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think the main thing for me is just making sure that, like you say, staying within the principles and the confinement of those things, the rudimentary elements of player development. You know what I mean? So because it ain't just about football.
No.
You know, like you said, it's not just about that. Football is bigger than football.
Yeah.
To really put that into perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Football is bigger than football because it's supposed to teach you things that you are going to experience in everyday life. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And if football, like, let's just say, if the NFL opened up their gates and everyone that played high school football, college football can just go to the NFL,
exactly,
then
everybody will be doing it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
But sometimes you gotta be real with the kid.
Yep.
You gotta let them know it's like a 1% chance.
Exactly.
That you will make it to the NFL.
And
it's a bigger percentage on that other side where you're gonna have to find a job in corporate America.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have to find a job where you need a degree.
Yep.
Where you need stuff that you learn from your coaches, and not just the coaches, but people in your community. that's gonna help you in life?
In life. Yep, I 100% agree with you because the reality is, like I tell my kids all the time too, especially the ones, because you know I got 2 roles within Thomas Jefferson football program. My first role, which is I always make it abundantly clear, I am a position coach. I am the running back coach. I am the run game coordinator. That is my responsibility within the confinements of coaching, my role on the team. But also, one of my other roles that I've been taking over for the past 2 or 3 years is the recruiting coordinator.
Okay.
But while I'm in my role in my position group, I always tell my guys, communication is a must for me. It's a must, because if you do not communicate, and that I don't teach you anything within this position group, within this team, I'm teaching you communication skills, because yo, you don't show up to practice, you can't just, you know, it's a no-go for me. They know that's one of my major pet peeves. Because guess what? You don't get to just not show up to work in real life. And I always use that analogy and that example. You know what I mean? Everything in real life has to be able to be, like I said, translatable from the football field. So, you know, it's great that you actually brought that up, because like I said, I try to give them an analogy or give them a perspective on everything, how it works in the real world.
I got you. Yeah. All right, so Coach, how do you foster a sense of team unity and keep players engaged, especially those who may not be starters or seeing much playing time on the field?
Man, you got some great questions today, my boy. Really, man, that's a great question, bro. It's about creating a culture also too, with 1,000% honesty and transparency, right? Now for me, and I just speak on myself specifically, right? I try my best with my kids that I talk to in the end, like, I'm gonna use my position group as to be 100% straightforward and honest about them. Whether that's the assessment of their level of play, their skill set, their strengths and weaknesses, and then how those things translate to a depth chart, right? And so what I do is, by being honest and transparent, it's like with anything. You can agree to disagree, right? You disagree, then prove to me why you disagree. Prove to me why you have an objective to what I'm saying. But if you don't have something that's tangible to telling me why, right? It's gonna stay as it is. Not to be combative or saying like, you know, I have the final say, it's the end all be all. It's because I'm gonna give you context of why I think the way I think. For me, the guys that are, I'm not even gonna say low on the depth chart, second, third stringers, is really understanding and being straightforward and honest about what their role is to the team and what they mean. I tell my guys all the time, listen, these are my top 3 in my backfield. If you can't crack these top 3, I need you to start cross-training somewhere else, right? How can you start contributing and bringing value for the football team somewhere else? You may gotta go get your money on defense. Okay, all right, you go to defense. You don't crack the top 2 on defense. Now you still second, third string. Go get your money on special teams, right?
Yeah.
Try to find ways to make an impression to the coaching staff. Ways to make an impression to yourself. Because at the end of the day, your work ethic, your value is not defined about a depth chart. It's about how can you contribute to the team success. And being, like you said earlier, giving these kids realistic expectations of what they are, in terms of, don't have them create a false sense of reality about their level of play, about their skill set, about their thinking that they're carrying themselves like they're a Division I Power 4 athlete, when in reality they're Division III. I'm not downgrading a Division III caliber athlete, but what I will say is a Division III caliber athlete can maybe be a more role player, right?
Yeah.
But a role player within the system or the structure that you have to be a contributor. So it's creating a culture, man. Once you create a culture, honesty, transparency about what these kids are, and how that translates to the football field and their role, then you're creating that bond. Then you're creating that team unity, and they understand what they're doing and what their priority is and why they're there. And when you're creating that culture, you're creating that environment, everybody understands their position. You know, and that creates and that keeps less tension, jealousy, and envy away from your players within the program. So
look, as I was reading you that question, and when I got to the part about playing time, it made me think about our time. I only played 1 year And that was my 11th grade year.
And guess what? We was asking you for years prior to come on out because we knew you was a dog on the court and you seen the athleticism.
But nah, like I said, I was 3rd on the depth chart at quarterback. I don't even know what number I was on the depth chart for receiver and DB. I think my hustle on special teams, because I was on kickoff coverage.
Yep.
But I had to earn that. But I started on punt return. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know how I got on punt return because I felt like my blocking was terrible. Now kickoff coverage, I had fun because we can just run down that B-line, and you just hit somebody. So, I never liked to get hit, but it's something about delivering the hit just felt
fulfilling. You know the crazy part about it is because now you opening up wounds. I mean not wounds. You opening up memories about that particular time period when we was in high school.
Well, let me interrupt you.
Okay.
Let me interrupt you real quick and let me tell the people. Mind you, this guy right here never came off the field. Starting tailback.
Facts.
Starting DB.
Yep.
Never came off the field, and I do not know how you had the stamina to do that week in and week out. And it's not like, I don't know how high school practices are, but I know in the NFL, they don't really hit in practice like we used to hit back in the day.
Scout team live, everything live. You know what I mean?
And then I will always want to be the starting quarterback for scout
team, because it's a position you value.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? You knew that honestly this is gonna be a time where I can really play the position. You know what I'm saying? While I'm gonna make my mark at practice. You know the crazy part about it is I was to touch bases on what you said earlier, man, is in terms of how you was on special teams and your roles and different things. It's crazy because I remember we was trying to get you and Rondell to come out freshman and sophomore year. But see, I think because at the time, Coach finally realized he got y'all out as juniors.
I'm gonna tell you,
is that he didn't know how physical. He just thought, you know, that these are basketball players. So I just want to get him on the field and use him any way I can.
I'm gonna tell you how I ended up on the field. I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish.
No, and so I remember that, and I'm like, you know what, man? Like I really felt like honestly, if Coach really didn't have the you know the preconceived already thought process about what y'all guys was, I think he would have just been able. You would have been more because you had the athletic ability.
Yeah.
Once again, you know what I mean? It was the system that we was in too. You know, like you talk about how I never came out the field, bro. Senior year, I averaged 33 carries a game. And you know, it was times where I would get a break on defense. I wouldn't have to go out there, but it depended on the matchup. I would have had to be out there on certain times. You know what I mean? And senior year was gruesome for me because the amount of snaps I took that year between everything to finish on a 4-6 season, which was disappointing. Yeah. But it was just like we didn't have huge numbers, and we had to make the best of what we had with the experience that we had at the time. So. Yeah, man, that's why I kind of wish y'all guys would have come, because I felt like, Zay, honestly, man, you had good feet work, good hand-eye coordination. You probably could have been used in certain packages, but because we was in a predominantly run offense, we wasn't running spread, we really wasn't utilizing our athletes the way that we could have utilized our athletes to been more successful to match up with other teams at that time.
But
we didn't adapt.
But I don't think we went up against too many teams that ran like a spread offense other than Gretna and
Wim Campbell.
Yeah, because they had the personnel on that side of the ball. And
them two.
Oh, my.
Them two.
Man.
They had the personnel. I remember Nelson did a little bit at times, but like you said, everybody else was in heavy run offenses, just like us at that time. Because at that era, we were transitioning out of the predominantly power run offenses to spread offenses, to getting the ball in space, finding ways, creative ways to open up an offense, whether it was the a spread offense, whether we were talking about single back formation, so ace personnel, 12 personnel, so those things like that, 3x1s that we were that a lot of teams were doing. We just, like I said, we didn't have the athletes. Coach just that wasn't the pedigree that he came from in terms of his coach philosophy. So
now let me tell you how I ended up on the team. It was I forgot. All right, it was the weekend. Me and my brother ended up at Turp House. So we stayed there the whole weekend, and then Monday came. Big John, Turp's dad, piled us into the car. Took us to I'm not knowing what's going on. And at this time, I done forgot all about it was time for football was starting. He drove us up to the school and dropped us off. I'm like, yo, what we doing here? Oh, football practice. And I was like, I put my head down, shook it, and I said, I'm here now. It's no turning back.
So turning back. It was his way of saying, basically, this is what you should be doing without doing it, basically. Because I don't think he would have knew you were just drinking ball at that time, did he? Because Turp was a freshman at that time.
Yeah.
No, Turp was a sophomore. Turp was a sophomore. Toro was a freshman at that time. And so he didn't really know, I don't know. I think that was his way probably of
getting me out there. Yeah. Because if he wouldn't have dropped us all, I know Toro would have went and Turp was gone.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't with them and I was just at home,
probably wouldn't play ball.
No, I wasn't playing. Yeah. No, I'd have been in the stands chilling, walking around the field. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad I went and I had fun. I didn't see the field as much, but I had a good time because I knew
the team,
the atmosphere I was around.
Yup, your boys. You know what I mean? And it be memories like that means something more a lot of times than the wins or the losses or the success of the actual football team, because it's the relationship building. It's the camaraderie that you build with your brothers, the brotherhood that you have, the family environment, which is something as a coach now, man, I try to instill into my kids all the time. That's your brother. That's your brother. I'm using wordplay like that. You know what I mean? I'm reiterating these things so that, once again, it translates to the next level of how you value your team, your teammate, the culture that you in, and how you value the next phases of your life when you meet, lifelong friends that you're gonna meet in college and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's all about how crafty you are with coaching, how strategic you are with coaching. Everything isn't about X's and O's in coaching. The majority of coaching, and not even, because we're speaking on football, but in general, right? It's just things that translate to real world experiences, real life experiences that you're gonna have or come across. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so a lot of times for me, I don't even get to put things like this into perspective until I'm having something like this, a sit down conversation, talking about it. And you can see the passion coming out of me because you really understand, like, you know what I mean? Like how important coaching is outside of just talking about the game of football. Like we haven't talked about anything with formations, game planning, game scripts, install, a lot of the keywords I'm using as it pertains to football. We're just talking about life experience. We're just talking about the things that really, the meaningful things of the game of football. You know what I mean? And so that's the stuff that you appreciate, bro. So looking back on it in retrospect, yeah, you're right. Those things are priceless. Priceless memories, bro.
Yeah, like I said, the basketball memories, I'm gonna cherish that forever. Because basketball was my sport.
That was your sport.
But football was why I had fun. Because I had fun because I wasn't expected to be like one of the
guys. You had a role.
You
had a role on the team, and you know what I mean. And you embrace your role. You know, a lot of times, man, I say this, man, it's hard to get kids, like you say, to buy in to their role, right? Because sometimes kids have unrealistic expectations about what their role is or what their role could be. It's your job as a coach to sometimes be honest, transparent, but not do it in a way where you belittling the kid, but empowering the kid as well, right? Because you may not be great in this right here, but you could be great somewhere else. And And everybody that play football ain't, like I said, they're not going to go play the next level.
No.
But they could be a hell of a football coach.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I just, all of these things to me, man, are powerful. Look at the coach for the Dolphins, Mike McDaniels.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like him is the prime example. If you would have you see this guy out in everyday world, you would think he's just a geek or a nerd. You would not know that he has the creative mindset and the mind structure of football in terms of what he is and how special he means to the game of football at the highest level right now, the National Football League, man, in the world. You know what I mean? So he may not have been a great player or played, but he has real tools and real things that's useful to the game.
True. And then you think about it, a lot of the great players, I'm not gonna say all, but a lot of the great players don't become great head coaches.
No.
So I heard someone once say it's like that because they want that player to play like them.
Yep.
But you gotta understand that player ain't you.
Yep. And it's about coaching that kid to be exactly who he is supposed to be in that specific purpose and finding his specific purpose. I find myself sometimes really for real, being in a position where I'm holding a kid. I use my son as an example at times, like to a standard of how I carry myself or what that kid or what he should be. But in reality, it's hard to do that because at the same time, I'm not being fair to that kid. He has his own personality. He has his own way of thinking. He has his own life, his own structure, his own things. All I'm trying to do is refine some of those things.
Yeah.
Find those things in certain pockets and work on the refinement and create and find his creativity that can be useful to this. But while you're doing this, making those things translatable to his real life. So yeah, man. A lot of times coaches, former players can't be good coaches. No. They don't have it in them.
Okay. All right. Banks, take us through how you would prepare the team for a critical game against a rival school. How do you structure practice, analyze the opponents, and if so, adjust strategies mid-game?
For me, with our kids, they are very, very predicated on emotion. Rival games, we ain't talking about X's and O's no more, right? Because game planning, we go into every game already feeling like we have an upper hand with a lot of teams we play against in terms of preparation, because a lot of our coaches are very well-rounded, and the diversity that we have is really, really strong in our coaching staff, from guys that prepare analytics, guys that study data, guys that look for specifics in film work. Our install preparation offensively and defensively is good. So once again, that's very organized week to week in terms of a lot of times we do advanced scouting 2-3 weeks beforehand. So when you talk about a rival game, right, you're talking about kids that's coming into it. A lot of times they know their assignments, they know, and us as the coaching staff know what we're gonna do 2 weeks prior to that. Now it's about tapping into the psyche of a kid, tapping into the psyche of these kids, our kids. And so for me, it's just really, really, for real, challenging. I like to say they manhood. Okay. Understanding that the emotion aspect is you're gonna have to get up for this game.
Oh, yeah.
Because rival games, and I use Armstrong as an example because they like to say that's a rival, inner city rival game. A lot of these kids know each other. They grew up from diapers all the way up to rec football to now in high school. They live in similar neighborhoods, split between districts. So they are very familiar with each other in terms of personalities, tendencies, and different things that they do. Now, it's just tapping into the fucking psyche now. Like literally challenging your kids saying, yo, are you gonna let these such and such come out and mentally and emotionally be better than you? You know what I mean? And so really, I like to get the kids hyped.
Okay.
We got playlists that we put. There's certain things that we doing throughout the course of that week to making sure that their emotions is what it is, because coaching, once again, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure that your kids are fully tapped in and dialed in at all times for rival games. So mirroring that week to week, from the game plan to that, I just make sure that we doing that. And, and I'm one of the emotional coaches. I'm a vocal coach. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the relatable coaches, because of my age demographic, you know what I mean? And I like to say that I'm very well rounded in terms of, you know, from old school, but also understanding the young culture as well.
Yeah.
You gotta have that blend to be a really successful coach in this day and age of kids.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So
have to.
Yeah. So, yep.
Okay, so all right, let me piggyback off the rivalry game. So when it comes to this going for the coaches.
Yes, sir.
How do y'all approach it? Do y'all approach it the same as?
It depends.
I know you don't approach it the same as every game because a rivalry game is like it's a little extra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's like bragging rights and everything else that comes along with it.
Yep. Well, once again, you got coaches. They got split philosophies, but at the same time, it's a common goal.
Yeah.
Some coaches are very reserved. They're very laid back, and they use the motto like it's just another game. Some coaches know that it ain't just another game. So you got to have a blend, a balance of that in terms of your kids so that they know the magnitude of what this means. This means that a crosstown game, most likely, especially one of our rivals, you know, and I use Armstrong as an example, some of our kids feel if they lose this, they lose the Super Bowl. So you got to understand this is, or the championship, the mindset that you got to really instill into your kids.
Yeah.
And once you tap into that psyche and instill it into their mindset, we're not talking about running through brick walls, man. We talking about running through steel walls, man. It's a difference. So it's a balance between both. Some guys are really laid back. They understand in the terms of the preparation. And it's like you said, some of us are more vocal, more emotional, you know what I mean, evoking coaches.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We know high school athletes juggle academic pressures, social pressures, and then the sports part of it,
Yes,
of
sir.
being a student athlete. How do you support the players in managing these demands while maintaining their commitment to the team?
Great question, man. It's just about prioritization. This kind of goes back to the beginning conversation. Student athlete. You're a student athlete first.
Yes.
And before you even touch that football field, at the end of the day, you know, and I go back to what like I was saying earlier, man, I don't give a damn about football, man. I care about life skills. I care about what you do out here. And so if your grades don't mean nothing to me, if your grades don't mean nothing to you, then you don't mean nothing. Your value to the team don't mean anything. Because you can't play football, you can't be on the football field or go to the next level with bad grades.
Exactly.
So it's making sure that I emphasize that. You know, a lot of times with us, we have a structure where we get progress reports every 3 weeks. It's mandated by our kids. We have a very, very strong rapport and relationship with the administrators in the building. So my head coach is in the building. So anytime that we need to be able to obtain transcripts or get progress reports or go in classrooms, the staff in the school has allowed us that flexibility to be able to go and do those things whenever we want to do it.
Oh, that's good.
And so we are very in tune with our kids' academics and structure. In terms of preparation with that structure and doing that, and then how does that adapt out on the football field, like I said, man, it's just prioritization, man. It's just making sure that your guys understand what's important first, and then the football field comes later.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you got kids, you got a lot of different kids, different personalities that you have to be able to manage and oversee. But once you put a system in place, it makes things just that much more easier because everybody now knows what's the expectations is.
Yeah.
And so those are the foundational things you keep week to week with your kids.
Okay. All right, this concludes our first part of my sit-down interview with Coach Banks of Thomas Jefferson.
Yes,
I appreciate you. Appreciate it, my brother.
Most definitely, man.
Appreciate
Most
it.
definitely, man. It was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be on your platform and give me an opportunity to share my thoughts, share my opinions, and share some of the good things that I got going on in my life currently as a coach. And you know, really good interview, man.
Oh
Really
yeah,
good
appreciate that.
man.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
You guys stay tuned for part 2 coming to you soon. Also want to thank the good people here at Buffalo Wild Wings at the Westchester Commons location. Please come by anytime and check them out. Food is fire, food is good, service is awesome.
Yes.
Also want to thank my cameraman and the guy. Without him, this ain't happening. My brother Arturo Jones, the owner, operator, producer, executive producer, director, cameraman of Shotz Productions. I just want to give a shout out, show him some love. Like I said again, Banks, thank you for coming through.
Most definitely.
Providing with your time, your insight, your input.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's it, people. Stay tuned for part 2.